Hi, I'm Bryce.
And I'm Jimmy.
We are telecom and creative professionals. We're also fans of podcasting as our respective careers give us an abundance of windshield time.
While there is a podcast for just about any obscure topic you can think of, there was no regular podcast pertaining to Montana politics.
And that is why, with our combined powers, we are Montana Voices Podcast.
We strive to be an independent voice for all issues pertaining to Montanans and Montana politics.
We also strive to be very forthcoming with our personal biases as we attempt to see beyond them.
Montana Voices Podcast does not operate in a vacuum. We need your support, whether that be listening to our cast, providing us feedback, sending us conversation topics, sharing our content, or providing financial support.
We look forward to a long career in podcasting with your added assistance.
Well, welcome back to Montana Voices Podcast, episode 47, getting up there and also getting back to normal. There's a lot of turmoil in the world, but I'm glad that things are stationary here because we are back with our founding and only members. Bryce, it's nice to have you back, not just being the man behind the curtain today.
Thanks, Jimmy. It's great to be back in front of the microphone here. I just feel new year, new me here.
Absolutely. This is the resolution to do more of this.
Consistently more cast episodes for, our dedicated listener base.
Well, we got to pay the bills, you know. Well, 47, and we had guest host. I had Mana from Mana Online on last time, and Bryce was with us, but behind the scenes, like I mentioned, and wagging his finger at us at every misstep we took while we did it. But let's get right into our new business, Bryce.
Yeah, let's go for business first here. As always, our website, MontanaVoicesPodcast.com. If you'd like to hit us up with any kind of questions or concerns, if you'd like to be on the cast, hit us up at our email, MontanaVoices@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is @Montana_voices. Our Facebook account is @Montana Voices Podcast, and you can look up all of our episodes on YouTube by searching Montana Voices Podcast.
Where we have the finest, I think the last two episodes that we had train B-roll in the middle of nowhere.
That's another side resolution of mine as well, is to try and contribute more to the B-roll, because I've contributed 0 frames at this point.
Well, it's mostly just B-roll of me driving places, but we have some beautiful B-roll. There was trains, there was clouds, there was the moon once. I forget what else. Oh, we've had many hiking trails on there with the gimbal, so it's stabilized. You get to see the most beautiful parts of Montana. But let's very quickly go into our old news, just a recast of last week. I don't know. Chris is a internet personality that does stuff online with the Twitch. It's a whole different culture I don't understand, which is partially why we had him on. So we got way off track many times, which is why we need a moderator ourselves. But there was a terrorist coup in the house, apparently.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty wild to watch.
That is old news. This is more than a week ago. We're reporting on a potential right-wing coup in the House at that time, but it turned out to be a real coup, or attempted coup.
That's wild to look back on now. But yeah, really certainly did happen, attempted. I feel like we should get into that later on in the cast, though.
Yeah, imagine telling this to your kids. It was like, went to work one day.
It was a weird conversation, I tell you.
And a bunch of people cosplaying as what Disney tells you Pocahontas looks like tried to overtake the government. And then I went back to work.
Spoiler, it didn't work out well.
Oh, we talked about white Indians and quite a few things on tribe manners. I think the Crows were taking tribal sovereignty and tribal authority over non-tribal members in police matters to the Supreme Court. There's not an update on that, though gears of justice turned slowly. CSKT were taking over the Bison Range, and we talked about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I don't know why, that is very old news, but we were... Oh, because of her relationship with the tribe, or lack of a good relationship with the tribe. So, with that, I guess let's jump right into our new stuff here.
She didn't like the tribes, huh?
No, she... I wouldn't say that she didn't like the tribes. I would say she made a bunch of decisions that I think were short-sighted. Like, for example, it was a tribe in New York, and I still can't remember their name, but they had an allotment of land. Much of that land was taken away with checkerboard ownership. Basically, the government decided it had value, and they wanted to sell it to whites, and then did. And so that land was essentially taken from them, even though it was guaranteed to them via treaty. So land was taken, and then, a century later, the tribe goes and buys up the land on the private market. And since it was a part of the original allotment, they tried to take it to the court system that they shouldn't have to pay property taxes to a different government entity because they're their own government entity that collects their own taxes. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that we shouldn't reopen the old wounds, or that are the ashes that are we shouldn't resmolder them, basically, which doesn't make any sense because obviously the matter isn't settled. Like pointed out with the sailors taking over the Bising Range, another area that was guaranteed to them via treaty that they got the legal rights back to in 1964, I believe, and it took till today, or very recently, for them to actually get the control that not only was assigned to them in treaty with the federal government, but also was decided in the courts in the 60s. So it doesn't sound like these matters are not done smoldering at all.
Yeah, something about the gears of running slowly. You just
I did
said,
say that.
Yeah, like, geez, that's some bullshit, though. It should go a lot faster for them. I'm happy to see that they get control of the herd again, though. I really hope that they sell some sort of bison burgers or something up in that area because I don't know if you people have bison burgers, but they sell them at the restaurant in Hungry Horse, the Huckleberry Lounge or Huckleberry Cafe, I think it is.
Oh, I've been to Hungry Horse many times, but never the Huckleberry place with the bison burgers.
Oh, stop there and get some Huckleberry coffee. Oh, I'm gonna take the next road trip for the up that area. I'm gonna stop there.
The cooler van will break down there.
But... Ooh, gosh, that's some good. We're coffee junkies on this channel as well, specifically Montana type of coffee. And Jim, that's one I totally forgot about. Is they have Huckleberry.
Real huckleberries, not elderberry mixed in, but real huckleberry.
Risk your life out there harvesting them with the bears, huckleberries.
Which is a lucrative business. If you're unemployed, huckleberries go for about $50 a pound at the right time. That's a Ziploc bag, basically.
There's also bears out there, though.
Yes,
so,
there's also a lot of bears.
They love huckleberries as much as we do.
Well, I have seen a few bears huckleberry hunting myself, so it's a very real danger. But it'll be interesting to see how the bears fare against the wild boars that are coming, I hear. Back to the wild boars that still aren't here.
Well, I mean, tomorrow's the new day.
It's a new year. I've always told we're building the wall in the wrong border. We've got to keep the boars and Canadians out. But
the boars, I mean, that's, this, I mean, I know we have to keep it in Montana, but this is just strikingly resembling of there's the emu war in Australia.
Oh, the emus? I remember something about that.
Yeah, they fought pretty hard down there. They're still alive, too, today. So, tell me who won that one.
Good point. Boars will be forever, But into the news stuff, I have a few things here from the Montana Post, and I don't know why we keep on citing these people, because they're sort of an opinion rag, and it's a very far-left opinion rag. I think they picked up where the... remember Montana Cowgirl for a few while? Almost a decade now, which may or may not have been aides or people working on behalf of Schweitzer. Maybe. We suspect. We may never know.
Wow.
But they, who knows? Maybe they're the same people.
What is this? The Montana Post?
Yeah, they call themselves the Montana Post, but...
I'm not even going to say the name of this platform program that they're running on the side here, but, this is... it's an all right looking website, I guess. So this is quite the imagery of Senator Taines that they have.
Oh, they
on the back.
Big head caricatures?
Yeah, that's very, very tasteful.
Well, that's the new thing for political caricatures, the big goofy heads or whatever. I know that one other terrible thing in Great Falls. I can't even remember their name, but they're no good. They do the same thing, so maybe
This is akin to enlarging Schumer's nose and AOC's eyes.
Yes, that thing in Great Falls. It's not the electric. The electric's the one that tries to be news.
Oh, those guys.
Those guys. Exactly, those guys.
God. Yeah,
I
I
don't
want
know.
to
It's
call it the
this.
Electric GF2. It's not.
No,
It's
no, we don't want to smear their good journalistic and integritous name.
the E City B. That's the
Them.
one.
Those guys, which is about as fair and balanced as these Montana Post people, just on the other side, but they possibly hire the same artist to do the caricatures.
Ah, I didn't know if they had artwork over there.
I mean, they've got the big-eyed AOC usually, and
Oh, I got that on like political mailers and such. But it's just this imagery of some Senator Daines on this website reminds me of it. The mailers that I got when they were, I think it was when Tester won. They were pushing really hard against AOC and Schumer,
we,
even though AOC wasn't running here.
yeah, I mean, if you're very concerned about AOC, I've said this before. It's time for you to move to New York, put your votes
Vote
in,
around.
handle that problem.
Only way. The country needs you. Look what happened in Georgia. That wouldn't have happened if everybody here moved there and voted for her. 11,000 people or 11,800 some. It was all.
I just need to find 11,672 votes. I think that's the number off the top of my head. But
something like that.
getting into the
Regardless,
national matters, which is a big mess. I mean, surprisingly, Montana matters make what's happening on the national level look civil and normal. As we'll get to Daines and we'll get to. All right, Knudsen, he's our new Attorney General, and the Montana Post says he has a childish view of the Constitution. Of course, it's over guns. They're taking the very left position on. That's not what the Constitution meant, in my opinion, but. They are, and of course that caricature of them as well. Let's just skip all this, these people, because they've gone full derangement. They're upset about Trump, and this is outdated by almost a week now. Before there was, I think,
we have
real
to talk
cause
about
to be
current
upset about
events here.
Trump.
So Missoula is keeping masks. Let's talk about that.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, Missoula County is keeping the masks, and that is something I wanted to put in there because there's a few places they're keeping masks. Whitefish, surprisingly, on the progressive edge of masking. They say masks, but having been to Whitefish, I don't know how much luck they're going to have enforcing that, or I'm imagining very little. So, but Missoula is keeping the masks. I think Bozeman may be as well, even though the governor, our new governor, has not yet rescinded the mask order or the other directives like social distancing and limiting gathering size. That hasn't happened yet, even though he said he believes in personal responsibility, but it feels like he's not doing anything yet. He said once we reach a guideline, a different percentage or something, then he'll consider revoking the directives. So as of now, nothing has been done, but the counties have been quick to jump on it under the suspicion that he may, in the future, rescind the mask order.
I see. Yeah, Great Falls. I see everyone taking the masks off, probably.
I think so too, especially in Great Falls. The city county health department, and this is sort of the thing I wanted to point out here, are folks that aren't elected by you over there. You don't vote for whoever's running the city county health department or board of directors over there, but they claim to have the authority to make a mask order. Interestingly enough, the city and county commission did not take this matter up at all.
Well, I wonder how that'll play out. Yeah, we'll see how people deal with that.
I keep on hearing that change is a coming.
Yeah, someone's gonna get, don't tread on me or something. I'm sure. This problem will handle itself. I'm sure.
Well, vaccines are coming. It's in Montana. I think we're still phase 1 at this point. So healthcare, and we're not even to phase 2 yet, where you get the elderly and at risk. So that'll be interesting to see when that
Are
happens.
you gonna get it?
I don't think we have a choice, Bryce.
Oh, I mean,
I grilled Mana on the last one really hard because he's not going to take it, going that route. And
oh well, I disagree with that on his regard.
on
I
his
have a feeling
regard,
he will have to get that.
yes, that's what I was saying. If I imagine enforcement will come the same way we handle regular vaccines. If you want to send your kid to school, if you want to do sports, if you basically want to be a functioning anything in society, you'll have to have a proof of vaccination, like anything else. So, but we'll see how that plays out, which is why I say I doubt we really have a whole lot of choice in the matter. I would personally prefer to wait for version 2, just in case, but that's maybe not an option for us.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know. If it ends up doing something bad to me, then so be it. But I feel like we'll be all right.
Well, I think we'll actually be all right either way. I mean, me personally, hopefully. But it'd be interesting to see how that plays out with our new governor at large, Greg the Body. I'll just toss that in there.
Oh, yeah. Look out, reporters.
If he'll be interested in putting any guidelines towards whom should be getting the vaccine. So far, he's been pro-vaccine, which is something that really has to upset his base, or part of his base, because I think the anti-vax people are shifting to the right now.
Wow, what a time.
It's such a weird thing. Previously, it's not the people you think it was, but I've read a few articles, including New York Post and I think, not a Forbes, but one of those other outlets from Montana, about they were studying anti-vaxxers and who is mostly doing that. And it's not the uneducated, trailer park boys that you think of. It was actually upper middle class, highly educated, master and doctorate holders that were basically the liberal elite that were the anti-vaxxers at large. So it's interesting that it's now shifting to the right. And of course, you got to the religious people, which are usually on the right. They apparently didn't outnumber those smart liberals that don't like vaccinations.
Well, they're a bunch that will always be there for sure.
Oh, well, for sure.
You can always count on them to show up.
Well, we spoke on Great Falls. The aquatics are back, or they're not. I am not sure. This is an ongoing saga over there. They built the first pool in the swamp, and that one sank. And then they put the pool in the swamp. And it turns out all of Great Falls is a swamp because they cannot find some solid ground to put this on.
I thought they were going to do Lions Park.
Lions Park is in the swamp.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. We have all that swamp. We should maybe look at going like up by the airport. Maybe I don't think there's much swamp up on the hill.
Well,
unless we have a swamp hill.
A swamp. Well, I call it swamp, but it's just loose soil. It's like a clay, I guess.
It's a swamp.
It's Great Falls, the swamp. Drain the swamp, Bryce.
It's the same as Bozeman. It's a swamp.
Well, the issue was to get the assistance from the feds on this, because it was I think a $10 million grant from DOD, I think, because the facility would benefit the Malmstrom, of course, but without it needs to be near Malmstrom in order to be eligible for that funding. I don't require the exact distance, but it needs to be up on that was that east end of town?
Yeah, accessible easily by the base, basically.
Yeah, because they don't have cars, so it's important. And Great Falls is huge.
Gas is expensive for the Dodge Chargers.
Yeah, all this for a Dodge Charger. It takes 10 minutes to drive the length of Great Falls, but this is a concern. But I understand the stipulations that it's for the Air Force, essentially. But so it is back, possibly. There was some turmoil over that because those people we mentioned before, not the Electric, those other people, eCity Beat. The editor-in-chief and owner and publisher of the eCity Beat is a architect in Great Falls, and he was using that platform to push forward this narrative that he wasn't asked. It should have been his contract to be the architect on this, but they didn't ask him, so he was making a big stink out of that. As per usual, I think it was the same thing with the meatpacking plant or something similar, that they were accused of cronyism or the good old boys club, as per usual. Which
well, I mean, the stuff's supposed to go to RFP, isn't it?
Well, the architect hasn't been assigned yet. This was a preliminary, so I think the city architect handles that, I believe.
Oh, well, yeah, if they have a city architect, I'd assume that he would be his job, I would think.
There is a city architect, but it's the same narrative. It just sounds like the people don't like working with this guy that owns that right over there, and try to avoid him. Which reading some of the things and some of the Big Nose Schumer articles he publishes, that maybe he's not that pleasant of a guy.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Well, yeah. So that one, there's of course drama with that, and I think I believe that Great Falls infighting and this sort of dispersion that you have over there might prevent that pool from ever getting built, which I think happens to a lot of good things that would benefit Great Falls.
You know, you're probably right on that. Wish I was more upset about it too, but like I just don't care to swim as much as I used to, I guess.
But the kids love it.
Yeah, well, you know, the Air Force will end up building it if they want it eventually, and then, you know, maybe we can use it.
There are those that say you don't need a pool. You've got the peak over there. They've got a hot tub.
Well, I can't argue with that. They do have a hot tub, however, that does tend to attract some creepers, I'm told.
Or they call it a business office. The
Now
peak
that
business office. Which
is what we call a red flag.
Yeah, absolutely. But as a former Great Falls resident, I did enjoy the peak over there. Primarily, they have that kid splash deck in there. And I was probably wasting too much money on this. It was a New Year's resolution one year, so we got memberships that included the kids, or we snuck the kids in because they don't have their own ID cards. So we'd have multiple of the same card because if you ask for a replacement, they just give you one. And so I was like, oh, scan your car, kid. And they'd all do it. And I only had 2 kids at that time, so not that big of a deal. And then they would go to the splash deck. They got the buckets that go down and the swirl pool and fun stuff for kids. Missoula
At
has
the
that.
peak?
Yeah, at the peak.
Wow.
But the price is ridiculous for a single person. At that time, it was like $80 a month. And this was 5 years ago. So that's a decent chunk of change to go have your kids play in a pool. But so I made a point to use it more often than most just so we can get our value out of it.
Yeah, I'm not paying money.
$80 a month, or I think $150 for couples, which is, geez, that's $2,000 a year for this.
It's mighty steep.
Missoula gives that away for free. It's there's I want to say 10 splash decks around. It's basically a concrete pad with buckets and things that spray and stuff that the kids love. Which were closed this year due to COVID, which is weird. The 50% chlorine solution, you close that when there's a pandemic, but perhaps I understand.
Yeah, they just don't want people coughing on each other's faces.
You can get coughing and outside, but I am hopeful that, I voiced the same thing with Chris, that regardless of how effective the vaccine is or how many people get it, I think we're going to get back to business as usual, which is pre-2020, regardless of what the numbers show, unfortunately, for the people that will die. But I think that's in our future.
Well, they're what was it they said about sacrificing?
Greater good? I don't know, but
Grandma's got to put her life on the line for us for some shit.
Yeah, the old people would die for the economy. Wasn't that the narrative?
Something like that. I heard a lot of really twisted, apathetic shit. Like on the morning shows on 1450 here in Great Falls. I remember one morning they were like, would we are we willing to risk the lives of our older generation in order to advance our economy? And they're like, I think that's okay and stuff. And they're all immediately like rationalizing. It's like, man, hold up.
Do they realize that the people that are on 1450 are the people that are of the age group that will be sacrificed? That occurred to them.
Like these old people sitting in their cars waiting for McDonald's to open up, and this is the shit they hear. It's terrible.
1450. You're a news talk source. We have News Talk 830 here in Missoula, and they have it's not the those people in the north, the northern people. They've got their own separate brand of conservatism that they're pushing over here. But I don't know how that pays bills on AM radio, but apparently it still does.
Interesting.
Well, let's we've got the elephant in the room here. This was before a coup was presented, but the link here says Daines is very concerned about Georgia, which I would argue he's not. He's an opportunist. He rides whatever coattails he can get on. He was coaching up to Gianforte before. He kind of still has that in the bag. And when that sort
It's
of
funny you mentioned bags.
go on. I know where you're
I-
going with this, but
I'm gonna make a carpetbagger joke.
absolutely. Well, one is warranted because he was born in California, and I've asked this question before: how long is long enough to be considered a Montanan? Although born in Montana, supposedly, Daines has been very opaque and given different answers to how Montanan he is. He'll say he came here in elementary school. Then he said his parents lived in Montana, had to move to California for work, were born, and then immediately moved back, is his new narrative. So every progressing year that he tells the story, he was more in Montana. So I think he started in high school.
I know, but I'm just wondering, like, how many decades does it take to walk off the Los Angeles from your step?
That never leaves you. That's
I just say, like, I just feel like, remember when on King of the Hill when Hank finds out he's from New York?
oh jeez, I do.
It's the same thing. I feel like somebody should be putting like a California bumper sticker on Daines' vehicle all the time. All the time, just to remind him, like, you are from California.
Well, he was riding Gianforte's coattails, and then he went to Trump's coattails and got some photos on the plane with Trump.
They're both. They probably
It's New Jersey. New Jersey never leaves you, does it, Greg?
No. He's Greg's from San Diego.
No, Greg's from New Jersey.
He's from San Diego.
Was born in San Diego, made his fortune in New Jersey. Was that it? Because I know he was from New Jersey. Because remember they got Chris Christie to do that phone in for him.
No, I didn't.
Oh, no. Apparently, you for a couple $100, Chris Christie will record a personalized message to the person of your choice, and send it to you. So I guess during the last election, they paid Chris Christie to tell Greg that, you might have left New Jersey, but New Jersey never leaves you. It's time to come home, Greg. And they were playing that quite a bit. And, well, that is some class and grifting that I enjoy. But
That's hilarious.
can we get
my
Nunes
gosh.
to do the same for Daines there?
Let me see here. He moved to oh, this is ridiculous. Yeah, no, he's OG Bell Labs. But yeah, it's looking like a lot of New Jersey mentions here.
Oh yeah. Well, New Jersey, Greg. That's
Pennsylvania's a lot of East Coast, East Coasting.
far east.
But anyways, yeah, it looks like the family took a trip out west to have one of them vacation berths, and then he headed on home. Maybe, I don't know. Either way, he thinks that dinosaurs and people lived at the same time.
Yeah, he funds that museum, which is a belief that there's. Anyway, that's around. What is it, the Bozeman Creation Museum, I think?
Oh man, there's a Bozeman one.
But I think it's probably just a rented closet in a Super 8, probably.
I thought there's the Glendive one.
Oh, well, maybe that's the one I'm mixing it up with. I know they have the regular museum in the Bird Museum or Dinosaur Museum in Bozeman.
Oh, well, that's the Museum of the Rockies. That's put on by that's the one that Jack Horner worked at. Jack, until he got. Did we talk about Jack Horner?
No, we didn't.
Oh, Jack Horner, you dirty old man.
Oh, what was he doing?
One of his students.
Oh,
But it's okay
dirty
because they
old
got
man.
married. They got married. They got married. And then
He's 74. How old was he when this happened?
she was not 74. She was much younger. So love finds a way.
Well,
So-
it certainly did with Woody Allen. It feels like maybe not the same thing, but love finds a way. Ugh.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, let me see if I can find the pic here so you can see how love found a way. But yeah. So, anyways, he got ousted by the college there
Well,
because
probably
he-
rightfully so.
you can't do this. You know, you're this is your student, and then he got put on like the ultimate, blacklist, and then finally they ousted him, and so he's at odds with them. And then the last I saw, I think that these two got divorced, but who knows? Anyways, that's not my business. That's their marriage, their private life.
Was there big money in dinosaurs, or she was?
Oh yeah, he can consultant work on like 5 Jurassic Park films. Oh yeah.
Oh wow,
Big money.
I mean, that's something. Well, this is a sweet young thing that I'm looking at here.
Well, she's like an actual dinosaur science. Like she's into dinos as well. It's her thing.
The higher education pays. That's
As you can tell, it's what a joke. She's into dinosaurs.
well. Let's get back to Danes being concerned about Georgia because, like I said, he ride whichever coattails he can find. I feel. And so he abandoned Trump because he was one of the 11 senators or something that signed the letter that says we want to have a hearing on this, which is one thing. But then as soon as the fruits of the flames that he helped fan showed up at the Capitol door, he decided that he didn't want to do that. So. Yeah, well, he's on to the next coattails. So he saw that ship was sinking, and he's on. I don't know who else will he attach to next. Wonder if Soros will ever come to Montana, and you can be like,
It'll be interesting. I don't know. Gosh. Well, what else do we have to talk about here? Because it's the elephant in the room, but Danes is certainly attached to this elephant. So.
oh, it's an elephant, all right. Well, let's dive right into that. I mean, we try to be a distraction from current event, which is why and we're also not breaking minute by minute news. These casts comes out weekly, so it was pointless for us to report on the cast or anything that was super fresh other than the ideology and our representatives and such. So I don't know. We don't want to date our cast too much, but I mean, you can't avoid it, can you?
No, it wasn't too recently that this occurred, was it?
No. It's earlier last week. Speaking of which, let's dive right into it. We'll go all for elephants. I am disillusioned with our people in office. They're polling the 25th, or they think they're polling it. This is Tuesday night that we're recording this. You'll probably this will be released Wednesday, so maybe by Wednesday they would have figured something out. And they say if the president is not removed by his own cabinet on the 25th, they will vote to impeach on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. But he is such a dangerous threat that can wait the entire weekend and half of the work week, because he's such an imminent threat that it can wait, 5 days? 5 days with access to the nuclear codes, but he's too unhinged for Twitter. But, geez. So that is my current disappointment in our representatives who, saw the lion at their door and say can wait till when it's an imminent threat, but next week it is.
Looks like he's going to be in Texas tomorrow to talk about the border wall. So,
Great. He's cut off of all streaming pretty much. I don't think he can stream his events anymore, other than through the regular press corps through meetings and such. So he's off of Twitter. He's off of Facebook.
I'm sure C-SPAN will be showing it.
C-SPAN might pick it up. I heard they closed his Shopify account. They've
Ooh.
Yeah,
those are
I
serious.
know, Shopify. The Olive Garden has revoked the unlimited pasta pass for Sean Hannity in response to this. So,
Yeah, it's a serious matter.
Serious stuff. But he has no platform to go to, not even Parler at this point, because Amazon pulled the rug out.
Well, it just like make your own cloud platform to host your service on, and then, build a data center to host that in, and then pay to power and, keep that building cool and pay the property taxes on the build, pay everything, go and build your own infrastructure.
Well, they might not need to.
Hashtag capitalism.
I'm thinking the Parler people I'm not sure who the developers of Parler are, but they very poorly planned this. Just from somebody from an IT background can tell you, why would you put the entire egg on Amazon, which can decide to change their mind and say they don't like you, which they can and did. And why would you choose the cheapest hosting option available and have it to be your only hosting option? And also, they apparently lost all their user data in this. They got breached at the same time. So people were rushing to download all of the data from Parler before Parler was pulled out of Amazon. So apparently the entire Parler database is 70 terabytes, which is not that large of not a big disk space for something that I thought was huge, but I guess not. So,
well, now when you think about it too, nowadays, like, especially in our, cloud, these terabytes are pretty cheap. And if somebody wants that information, like, they can spin up their own Amazon platform or whatever. And what I saw, there was even a Docker container put out that would, like, the second you spun up the container, it would start just downloading everything it could off of this breach.
Technology,
stuff like that.
Well,
yeah.
pull it. Well, they've been breached. It's amateur hour over there, apparently. So
Seems so, because the way that they got in, from what I was reading, was something that basically every other website, stops. Like, it's one of the first things you do.
MySpace is more secure. As far as I know, they haven't been breached once.
I don't think they have.
Tom is looking out for you.
He did us a favor.
Yeah, top-notch security over there. But yeah, I'm just, well, the subject of they are a private company that can do what they want, and so is Facebook, and so is Twitter, which brings me to another complaint, I guess. As if this was a truly open capitalistic market, Amazon pulls the plug on you, Twitter pulls the plug. There should be another option for you to go to. But for some reason, the American system breeds it, so there's, essential, nearly monopolies in just about every industry, it feels like. So you can choose Coke or Pepsi, but they're both the same. Yeah, I'm complaining about, maybe I am complaining about capitalism. Jeez. Well, we just went to a broad subject, didn't we? Sorry, Bryce. I'm blindsiding you with this. So...
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this is, it's just, I will say there is a lot of poetic, I'm trying to think even the correct wording here, because there's so many great descriptive words I could use, but yeah, poetic justice occurring when you see these people get the platforms deplatformized, and, the whole time.
Zuckerberg might be a California liberal. So might that gal, I forget her name, the CEO of Twitter. They probably mostly are, but I think more important than ideals, as evidenced by some of their actions, such as Bezos' some exploitative practices, in my opinion, that they are more concerned with the dollar than they are virtue.
Exactly, and in that regard, too, think about it from the perspective of the past leading up to this point. When you look at, I guess there's not really any other great examples, but specifically Facebook's kind of been a conservative haven there for quite a while. There's been quite a bit that they've gotten away with, and just recently when Parler kicked up, it's because they started finally coming down with the crackdown on it.
Well, they barely crack down. I mean, putting a thing that says whatever you're posting hasn't been verified by independent fact checkers is not really a crackdown.
No, but In this emotional state and age, everyone sees that and feels that that's the website basically labeling them as a liar. And so they'd rather go to a website that doesn't label them as a liar, you know?
Oh,
So they end
well,
up at Parlor.
well, no, that now they can, but that's for now.
Not
Who knows?
anymore.
Maybe Parler. I mean, there's hundreds of other options in this field for if they're unable to host their own
Well,
or figure it out by
depends.
themselves. There's competition there that other than Amazon. They
Was
were
it GeoCities or something?
yes, no. There are people that will sell you server space or actually the servers themselves on a rental basis, I believe. So them putting it all in one basket was foolish of them, and actually really makes me wonder what the intent of this thing was to have it so one amateur, poorly planned, almost like it was designed to fall, in my
It
opinion.
seems like it's a perfect time now for Russia to swoop in and say, we'll host your stuff, Parlor. At which point, then I wonder, is Parlor going to say, yeah, you know what? We're going to host everything in Russia from now on.
The Putin won't pull the rug on you. That's
No, he won't pull it on. He may pull it over you.
a different subject entirely. Oh, geez. Well, what a time to be alive with that. I mean, with the Parlor takedown, I'm split on it as a firm believer in free speech, even if it's speech that I don't particularly like and I think is mostly wrong. Actually, I well, when we talk about free speech, First Amendment, of course, has changed. When it talks about public space, it's literally talking about a public space like a town square, which is an idea that hardly exists anymore. So it's a brave new world, Bryce.
Well, you can't blame the brave new world for the rules of the past, but those are the rules, and, that's what they apply to. And, if you want to go out into your public square and yell like a lunatic, then so be it. Everyone's going to look at you like you're a lunatic.
That's
But if you want to go posting a bunch of lunatic-like things on this private company's service for which you agreed to the terms and services for ahead of time.
Everyone
when you
always
created
brings
your
up them
account.
terms and services.
I'm sorry, but if we want to look at this from a capitalistic perspective, in every other manner, in every other view and angle, you have to use this one too. You can't. This doesn't get an exception, whereas everywhere else doesn't.
You're right, there's not, but I think they're more inclined to make money. But I'm also thinking that the CEOs of Twitter, Amazon, and
They are,
Facebook
but
were
that's
dragged
why
in front
they
of
have.
Congress, saw the writing on the wall. They recognize the shifting winds here, and they're going to follow it to cash those checks.
Well, yeah, but that's why the terms and conditions exist. It's sort of like their insurance policy. By then you agreeing to that, think about it in this regard. When you hit accept on that, from what I understand, some of these services, you're essentially agreeing to giving them
sell your
ownership
firstborn.
over whatever you're using, right?
Essentially, specifically the Facebook one, that was always been a source of contention, but just about
Yeah.
anywhere
So
can
let's
use it.
say I agree your terms and conditions, and your terms and conditions say that you have ownership over my pictures. You can use them for whatever you want.
Yes, that is in those terms and conditions.
Exactly, it is. You, as Facebook, may not ever use my pictures ever, but you still retain that right. Why? Because I hit accept.
Till the end of time on Facebook. But
Yeah, and then they put in the weird perpetuity of the universe. They get into some crazy, very definite.
yeah, this now includes space, of course. Space.
Yeah, they get into like universe stuff. It's pretty wild. But in doing so, they're allowed to come back and say, "Yeah, you know what? You guys are getting a little too racisty for us, so we're going to go ahead and stop now."
Well, that's not right. Just because they're on the right doesn't mean they're racist.
I never said on the
You
right.
said racisty. I know
I know.
what we're
How do you know I was talking about the right? That's you assuming.
It was inferring
That's your
my
assumption,
own.
not mine.
All right, you got me there. You got me there. Just
I wasn't even talking about the current. I was just saying, I'm just putting pure hypotheticals out there, but I mean, I guess now we know where your mind's going at with this.
Well, the right is often accused of being racist. In
Well, so is the left.
no, aren't they accused of being Nazis?
Antifa, fascist, something. I don't know. All these terms blend together.
Yeah, it's hard to know who's who's in charge of what. But anyway, let's get back to Montana and talk about the Missoula police apparently being inefficient. A study has found that, and the study was purchased by the Missoula Police Department to find out how inefficient they were. It was determined they have enough police officers, but they didn't schedule them right. They had too many on the wrong shifts, and vice versa. And so we increased their police funding this year. So we got that going for us. So they apparently used some of that money to figure out where they're wasting money.
That's awesome that they did that instead of just being like, well, new guns for everybody.
Yeah, new guns.
That's what everyone, when people say, this whole, I don't like this whole defund the police chant either myself, because I think it's got some dangerous precedents to it as well.
Well, if you're actually defunding police, but they're not. I mean, in places where we've done it, we've increased police spending in addition to giving the police more resources to do things that, like the police are a catch-all for everything. For any crisis or incident you're having, loose dog, there's a horse in your house, your husband's trying to kill you, or some things real police stuff. Other things, you don't need an armed officer there to handle. So in places where we have gotten a mental health task force, basically, because that's essentially what it is, because the police are not trained therapists or people that are probably not the best equipped to handle somebody on their worst day usually in that regard. But we still send them nonetheless, and without the right tools for their job as a catch-all. But in places where we have those alternatives, such as I think Chicago has a good example of one, but the police funding did not decrease because of that. They're still using the police, and so there's essentially more law enforcement. So defunding the police is increasing police funding, oddly.
That's pretty wild.
Which makes sense, because you still need the police. They're your first responders. If somebody's having a mental crisis, they're the first there, and then they can coordinate and get somebody else over there.
With that in mind, then, I'm glad that Missoula police have found out that they are running inefficiently and are going to probably, I assume, correct these scheduling and operational issues that they've got, and then they'll be a better force. Like, I know a couple people. I know a police officer in Missoula, and he's a pretty cool guy. And
I know a few, and they're the only police force I've ever not had some.
They found your bike.
They found my bike. They're the only police. I've lived in a few different Montana towns. I've lived in Havre. I've lived in Billings, Laurel, Great Falls, of course. But I have Bozeman for like 2 weeks. That hardly counts. But I had issue with those police, Bozeman police. Another story. But the Missoula police force are in my opinion, probably the best in the state. As it is, even if they're supposedly inefficient. But I guess they're fixing that problem.
It takes balls to admit that you're inefficient, and that's the first step to becoming a better person, is admitting your faults, and that already puts them in first place.
Well, they're doing pretty good. I have no complaints about them, and this was put on here, and my first thing is to be like, the police, we defunding the police and etc. So get all angry and anti-police about it, which is not who I am usually. When you're good police, I'll stress that. Anywho, well, if we schedule some of those officers during the day, maybe they'll get a chance to get in on our Arab food truck that's coming to town. Missoula, that is.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it. Missoula feels like it's the food truck capital of Montana.
I've yet to try that carnivorium in Great Falls.
Are they a real food truck? Or are they?
They're a food trailer.
Because I thought, or at least they did, Great Falls had some regulations in that weren't very forthcoming for the food trailers, which is why you don't have coffee huts like you have with the City Brews everywhere else and the Flocos in Missoula. But
I think we have a coffee hut over here, though.
But it's not a hut. It's attached to a business, because the requirement is you have to have running water and have a structure that's attached to the ground and foundation, I believe.
Oh, I see.
which it's hard to do inside of a Hastings parking lot.
Good point. Good point.
So, yeah, Missoula is I think, the food truck capital, unless there's food trucks in other places that I'm not familiar with. I thought they were very rare throughout Montana, other than here.
Yeah, there was the carnivorium, but like I honestly haven't seen them in the last couple weeks. So now I'm wondering myself. We'll look into that. We'll get back to it.
Not a food truck, but it's not Tia's. It's La Cocina. It's almost a food truck. It's as close to the food truck as you're getting in Great Falls, I think. Right across from the Set Free, they have it's a real Mexican lady. You can tell because the daughter works for her, and the daughter's always pregnant. Been pregnant for like 4 years, I think. Same kid, I assume, but it's like Bonnie on Family Guy.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know. Maybe she has a whole bunch of daughters. I'm not sure, but it's a real Mexican family. You can tell they've got the English, they've got the accent. Tamales, only place to get them in Great Falls, I think. But, we just came off this election. Trump promised us food trucks in every corner if he lost, and is that still on the table?
I'm hoping. I'm looking
So am
down the left side of the street and the right, like waiting for him to show up.
The taco trucks. Hopefully, it's time to get them together. Taco trucks on Pennsylvania Avenue. We're gonna have a celebration.
I think it's only right.
Well, let's get into sad news here. Frenchtown apparently hires known child predators.
Well, never moving there.
Convicted child predators.
Yeah, we'll never ever stop in Frenchtown now.
Well, they are outside of Missoula, and it is considered the premier school district in the area. There are people that buy homes in Frenchtown for the sole purpose of sending their kid to the school, not living in the home. Like, they'll buy a trailer so they can have a Frenchtown address and drive their kids to Frenchtown school.
I assume that practice is going to start to dwindle a bit.
Yeah, well, it was a softball practice of this guy. He was the coach over there, and it was young girls that he was after. But apparently he worked in Centerville. This was in the 90s, and he got caught having relations with a student in Centerville, which is just right outside of Great Falls there. Sounds like Centerville handled that problem pretty quick, which is it was the 90s, so that's, I guess, surprising. But it was a dark time in our history. But they handled this guy pretty quick and worked with both the OPI and to get his license revoked. So he couldn't teach for 10 years. So I would advocate for a lifetime suspension in obvious cases like this. But Frenchtown rehired this guy just 2 months after his license was no longer revoked.
Ugh.
I know.
Next topic. Good God.
This is the premier school district in the Missoula County area, where the rich kids get to go to school because their parents bought a trailer.
Jesus Christ.
Several defendants, so sounds like this was a repeat thing. And in a different case, same guy, different case, in 2018, the Frenchtown paid $35,000 in damages.
Oh man.
Next topic. Let's lighten it up with some guns, Bryce.
Yeah, let's taking them into the school district there, or to the campuses.
Yeah, not school districts. I don't know. I'm always advocating arming the children.
It's the only way.
You're right. It's the only way. Bring your guns. There's a bill on the table. We're starting to get a peek at the bills that are going to be coming up. They're getting drafted. Of course, no voting has taken place yet. I think legislature meets later this month. I'll have to look up the date, but it's not now. But they are drafting bills. And I'll just do real quick. This is where we follow and get a lot of our bill info at leg.mt.gov/bill/info or -info. But leg.mt.gov will get you there, where you can look up the text, see who is requesting said bill, see who the co-sponsors are, and etc. for everybody in your Montana legislature. Also, you can use that same tool to see a map to see who your legislators are, which is I think a good first step. So that's but the bill would allow concealed carry in areas that it's not explicitly, basically like airports and such, you can't bring your guns inside the police department, courthouses, where anything that's not federal that they have authority over, they want you to be able to carry your guns. So bring your guns to class.
Oh, there's no way that could end terribly.
Oh, no, sir. Well, if everybody has guns, the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun, I mean, you've heard.
That's what I'm told, so we'll, like I said, we'll see how this one plays out.
Well, we have a Republican legislature now, so maybe it'll go place. And speaking of Republican legislators, we have a new heavy metal drummer from a B-rated metal band. Who are these guys? He's a legislator up in, is that Deer Lodge? Just elected. He's their second drummer, because they have two.
The way that you describe that, first off, B-rated, I wouldn't give them a rating because that just sounds offensive. And then to call them their second drummer, that sounds like they had a previous drummer who was also the representative.
The band has two drummers.
The band has
who
has
is
two
the
drummers.
band, Bryce?
Yes.
Who is the band?
Walking Corpse Syndrome.
Oh, that sounds heavy metal.
It does. It's got all the names.
Yeah, all the names and all the. I'm just looking at the picture here. They're sitting in front of an abandoned building.
This is very hardcore.
As you would expect for a metal. I'm surprised they aren't shooting this in the forest like every. Or is that just death metal bands that go to the forest and shoot their
Oh yeah, black metal bands from Norway, still lost in the forest during cover shoot or what is it?
And let me name this guy here real quick. Oh boy. Already forgot his name. He's in the 93rd House District for Montana, or excuse me, 73rd. So it's I think that's the smallest one. There's only 9,000 people there, which covers half of Deer Lodge, the less populated half of Deer Lodge. So Greg Fraser, Republican, and your representative for your South Deer Lodge district.
Congratulations, I'm proud of you.
Well, we're going to have some of their music up. I call them B-rated. I've listened to like 2 songs of them when I heard this article. I'd never heard of them before. Maybe I'm not really in the metal scene. Am I missing out here?
I used to be in it. I'm not as much anymore. So I couldn't tell you.
I know. Times change. It's all Disney classics and Let It Go, whatever now. But
I know. Well, that old stuff, it's too heavy, The
kids aren't ready for it yet.
When you listen to Holy Wars, you got to sit down afterwards. After Megadeth.
Yeah, well, he's working on drafting some bills. I think we are going to be the first state to prevent Lars from mastering any albums.
I really hope that we see some solid anti-Lars bills.
Oh, absolutely. Get that guy out. The Boss Metal Tone will no longer be allowed in venues.
And just, requirement, hereby banned Lars Ulrich residency in Montana.
We could have our own Lars, but that's... He ought to be. I'm surprised he hasn't. Doesn't every rich sort of... we're going to have the Trumps living here, aren't we? They were looking at
here
places
or Wyoming,
before.
Around that Jackson Hole area,
Well, no, that's Kanye's stomping ground.
Yeah, Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue's also down there, though.
Is he? Jackson Hole? I've been to Jackson Hole. It wasn't that great.
Yeah, I don't like Wyoming.
It feels like Havre, which has it, by the way, but it's just flat, boring. I guess they have a ski resort.
Exactly, but when you're in Wyoming, though, it's just missing it. You're just like, God, what? So I can get whoever came up with that catchphrase, Havre has it, that guy was probably from Wyoming.
The only time I've been to Wyoming, I've seen how fast I can get out of Wyoming.
That's the only motivation to keep driving is to leave.
Well, that's all I had in the docket here. We're back in the saddle. It's new year, new me. I think we titled our 2020 January episode that as well, so maybe I'll think of a different title for this one.
Oh, jeez.
New year, new legislature, because we do have a new legislature.
Could name it that.
We'll think of something. Hand this to the editors or interns. We'll handle it. Let's run through our business once more, and we'll get this episode of Montana Voices podcast number 47 in the bag.
Yeah, so, as always, our website, montanavoicespodcast.com. If you'd like to hit us up with any questions or comments, or if you'd like to be on the show as a guest, hit us up on our email address. It's going to be montanavoices@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is @Montana_voices. Our Facebook handle is @Montana Voices Podcast. And you can look up all of our episodes on YouTube by searching for Montana Voices Podcast. Thank you, and have a great night.